So now we are ready to start our discussion about the original timekeeping system. And today's topic is the seal of Jehovah, or the seal of Yah, how you say the name, or Elohim. The seal of Elohim is the Sabbath. And many of us grew up in Saturday-keeping churches and Sabbath-keeping churches, and we know a lot of these things already, and we have shared them with others. But have you ever thought about the Sabbath being on a different calendar than the Gregorian calendar? So with the seal of Yah being the Sabbath, that's what our study is today, and we want to keep in mind that we want to find the right Sabbath. So I invite everybody that's here in our fellowship today, if you have something to say or add to this, this is a short little presentation about the seal of Yah, and it's going to be about the fourth commandment. So we know that the Ten Commandments are a transcript of Yah's character, and it comes as no surprise to discover that they contain the seal of the living Elohim. While some commandments contain Yah's name, the fourth commandment alone contains all three elements of the seal. And it's like a kingly seal. There's the name, the authority, and the region of governance. And that is all in the fourth commandment. So it shows his kingship, his rulership. And so this is what we're going to kind of go over a little bit today. And we know the fourth commandment is in Exodus 20, 8-11. And it is still standing. It was never done away with. And here it is. Would someone like to read it? We have a nice group of people here with us today. And it's on the screen, or you can just read it out of your scriptures, Exodus 20, 8-11. And many of us know this by heart. We've taught it to our children and grandchildren. And I just thought we can just review this fourth commandment a little bit today, showing the Creator's ownership and his kingship. If there's anybody out there who'd like to help me read it.
I'll read.
Okay, thank you, Peter.
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is a Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy maidservant, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor the stranger that is within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea and all that is in them, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Exodus 20, 8-11.
Okay, yes, and we know that by heart, hopefully. And thank you for reading that and reminding us. Maybe it's been a while since you've read the fourth commandment. Some of us have been studying out the Creator's Sabbath and the calendar, and I think sometimes we get studying so deep we forget the very basic verses, just like the fourth commandment is a basic Sabbath verse. And we know that some of the Catholic Bibles have even taken out the fourth commandment or made it shorter, and they took out the second commandment, I believe. But I believe in all 10 commandments, and I believe in the fourth commandment, don't you? So his name, okay, there we go. We're going to have the name here in the seal. Those elements of the seal of Elohim are found in verse 11, Exodus 20:11. Okay, for in 6 days Yah made heaven and earth, the sea and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore Yah blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. So he put his name in there, I think. I see it in there that he said it was him. And Do you see his name in there in the fourth commandment, especially verse 11? And then we're going to go forward to his authority. Okay, his authority. These are, if you think about a rulership or a kingship, they have the name of the king, and their seal has the name of the king in it, has a stamp in it, and their area of governance. So we're just looking for that in the fourth commandment today. So his authority as creator. There we go again, Exodus 20:11. For in 6 days Yah made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is. So it says he is the creator, so that gives him the authority, right? So he says he's the king, he's Yah, and his authority is because he is the creator. Now his region of governance. So here it is. It says, and for in 6 days Yah made the heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore he blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Okay, sounds like his area, his territory is heaven, earth, and sea. That pretty much covers everything in our world, right? And we have known that the Sabbath is the seal and the sign of our Heavenly Father. But maybe you're like me. I was raised in a Seventh-day Adventist church. I'm fourth generation Seventh-day Adventist. And, of course, we learned these things. We learned all about the fourth commandment and all the Sabbath verses in the Bible. But we thought it was on a Gregorian seventh-day Sabbath on a Gregorian calendar or Saturday. So we were following along the best we knew how. But for now, we have found out that there is a different calendar. And let me see, I want to go to this page. Yeah, we found out there's no Saturday Sabbath in the Bible. So all these verses about the Sabbath being a sign and the Creator's name is in the Sabbath, is titled as Creator, and what he governs is not on a Gregorian calendar. It is in the heavens, the calendar in the heavens. So I'm just going to pause right here, and this is kind of the end of these little pictures. So we're going to open up the floor for discussion. When you were telling people about all the signs of the kingship being in the fourth commandment, you were maybe talking about it on a Gregorian calendar. But now we have found there's a calendar in the heavens. So if anybody have any comments to say about this? And there's a lot of newcomers on the call, and whatever you have to say or questions asked will help everyone. And I have up here, if you were on the wrong Sabbath, would you want to know it? Yes, we would. But I have also the sign up here of all the quarter phases of the moon, showing Sabbath would start new moon day. It actually tells you what day the Sabbath is going to be on the whole next month. And then about 7 days later is your first quarter, showing that you went through 1 week. And then we have the full moon, which is what right now we're at the time of the full moon. And it's the 15th day of the month. So there is a nice calendar up there in the heavens for all of us to see. So I'm going to go back to this. Okay, well, we're just going to ask anybody. Does anybody have anything to say about the seal of Yah? Did you used to think it was Gregorian Saturday? I mean, I used to. What about all our brothers and sisters that are still in the churches or in the Messianic group keeping the Gregorian Saturday? So what's going to happen with the seal of Yah being the Sabbath?
Well, the first thing that came to my mind was for everything the Father has, Hasatan has a counterfeit. And so this is the seal of Yah, and the Church of Rome, they publish it themselves that Sunday is their mark. So that's the first thing that comes to my mind is, what is the alternative? And so we already know where that comes from, and they've claimed that themselves. Also in Revelation, where there's scripture in the Old Covenant as well as in Revelation that the Father has put His seal in their foreheads and in their hearts, but that's because we have to have a mind for the Father, and we have to have a heart for the Father. Those are two things that we have to have in order, for us to be able to walk the walk. And your heart is the origin of all sin. So we have to have a heart for Him, otherwise, we're just not going to. It's just not going to be there.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Catherine. And Rome has put their sign on Sunday, and they claim that they have the authority to change it from Saturday to Sunday, but we also know they did change the Saturday too, and we have a Roman Pope Gregory calendar now out there in the world. So, thank you for bringing that up. Anybody else have any comments about the seal of Yah being the Sabbath day?
This is Ellie.
Go ahead, Ellie.
Okay, I was going to say, I think most people that are in a Seventh-day church, and it's not always Seventh-day Adventists. I mean, there's Seventh-day Baptists. There's other people that are waking up all the time to the seventh day. I mean, I was just talking to somebody yesterday who indicated to me that they just ran into two women who actually, that the Lord is waking up about the seventh day. And so I think people honestly believe that when they make the change from Sunday to Saturday, they are doing it like what we did. They're doing it honestly because they believe it's that day. And, that's a good thing that they are realizing that there is a change and that they have been doing things wrong. Now, the way I look at it is hopefully eventually they will be woken up to the true Sabbath at the end of time, and they will be able to accept that as well,
Right, that's very good because we go step by step as we follow the truth. He opens up more for us because we first found out, or we were raised in an Adventist church or a Sabbath-keeping church, and then maybe we found out about feast days and then found out about the Sabbath calendar in the heavens. And so by friends and people discovering the Saturday Sabbath, the Father will lead them to His calendar in the heavens. I believe the real truth seekers, He will.
I had a comment. This is Pete.
Yes, Pete.
And that is that just like the Exodus was a multi-level, multi-stage thing. Many people participating in the Exodus thought that, we just need to walk out of Egypt, and we've done it. Of course, getting outside the gates of Egypt was just the beginning. You mean we need to cross the Red Sea? You mean we need to go to the mountain? You mean, so everything, each step brings upon it a new place to walk forward from. And once we have made a first step, like maybe it is moving to a Saturday observance, it is a progression out of Egypt. But unfortunately, that's true of us too. We think sometimes we've arrived, but we probably need to be patient enough, humble enough to let God show us that no, there is more ground to cover to reach His full understanding than His full ways.
Yes, that's right.
And this is
step by step, they came out of Egypt and had to go from one thing to the next thing they didn't expect at all, and so that's kind of what we're going, step by step into something new. And go ahead, Thank you, Pete. And go ahead, Ellie, or Susan.
Susan, yes. And what I was going to say, for the sake of some that might be listening to that and thinking horrified, oh my word, we are not judged by outward appearances or outward doings. We're judged by our hearts. And if our hearts are honestly following Him, honestly trusting Him, and honestly trying to learn His ways, and we're making steps forward, we may be in kindergarten or pre-K, we may be in first, second, or third, but certainly none of us have graduated. And I'm just wanting everybody to know that He says, my ways are not your ways. My thoughts are not your thoughts.
Yeah.
We only judge from the outward appearances, but He judges by the hearts, and He's the only one that knows our heart.
Yeah.
And whether we're honestly trying and just goofing up, or whether we're honestly trying to look like we're trying, and we're honestly just not believing in it, not trusting Him, we just go along with the crowd. That's a whole lot different thing. And we can know lunar solar, we can doing the whole schmoz that we know so far. And if our hearts aren't true to Him, it does us no good. Look at 1 Corinthians 13. We can even give our body to be burned, but if we don't really love Him and love others, it's not going to work. So He judges by the heart. And I'm so glad for that, because it is the heart, it is the understanding, it is where we make our choices. So it's heart, mind, whatever it is. But that's true. And I'm so grateful for that He doesn't, He says even some that have never known His name, but they have just followed His Spirit when He's given them when He said, basically given them the urge to go help that person, go do this, go do that. They have followed His Spirit, that they will come. There will be those in heaven that He resurrects that will, for the first time, learn His name, learn that He's the Creator, learn all this other stuff, but they'll be there. So don't freak out. If your heart's right, you're there, and He'll lead you into all truth.
Yeah.
So bless you.
Thank you, Susan. Because I
You're
know
welcome.
when I was born again, I was sealed. And I know when I kept the Sabbath, that was the seal. And I kept the Sabbath to the best of my knowledge. And so those that are believers in a true heart, yes, they are sealed. And the Sabbath is the seal, and they're on the Sabbath that they know. And I agree, they are under His seal. And I heard someone else come on. Was that Peter again?
No, this is Jake.
Jake, oh, right.
Hi, Barb.
So happy to hear you.
I always listen, but I never speak. I wanted to add something very interesting.
Good.
Russian government and the whole Russia just celebrated victory on May 9th. And it's related to what we are talking about.
Oh.
Going back to diversion, or going back to counterfeit. Many of you, I don't know if you know anything about the World War II, but during the war, they had spies, but also they had diversionists, or they would, in Russian it's diversant. It comes from the word of diversion. So the main purpose of the spy was to seek out the information and give it over to the government that they're serving. But the diversionist was a double agent, which would create a diversion. In other words, they would infiltrate the government. The government would capture them, thinking that they are the spies, but they would work for the government that's thinking that they are the spies, but only the upper levels of government knew that they are the double agents. So I look at studying the Sabbath and studying the calendar and studying the lunar Sabbath and the Gregorian calendar. The enemy, the Satan, has done a marvelous job by concealing and creating a diversion, which many people are following till, the end of their days, thinking that Saturday is the true Sabbath, which indicates to me, remembering the stories of these double agents, how they work and how they would create the diversion. I can see now that, the enemy is very clever creating this diversion through time, through history, but only the people that are truly seeking and truly seeking the knowledge and the true Sabbath can really understand. So that's basically what I had to say and what I had to add. I don't know if it made any sense, but do you understand what I'm talking about? What I have explained?
You've explained it very well, the double agents and the diversion that they cause with the false Sabbath that we were keeping, and that makes perfect sense.
Their main purpose was to create a diversion, a complete diversion. So the soldiers and the military would think, there will be an attack here, but they would create a diversion so well that they would attack from a different, position. And matter of fact, they were the most feared. They were the most professional, and they were the most feared. Are those double agents that did this work. And so that just tells me, that by observing how everything is set up, I also was the Seventh-day Adventist, and I also believed in, Saturday being the true Sabbath. But then by studying, it didn't come to me right away, but I fought this for many years, fought against it. But, you can't wrestle with the truth because the truth will always prevail.
Well, thank you. I'm so happy you got on there today, Jake, and spoke up. And, this is a big diversion. And, I got this whole article from SundayLaw.net. And it is going to be discussing here about the third angel's message and all the signs of the seal and all that in the Sabbath. But this complete different diversion is watching for a Sunday law, waiting for a Sunday law, telling everybody keep Saturn Day. That's a big diversion away from the Father's calendar.
And there is another D word that is appropriate. It is deceit. The enemy always fights with deceit, and he will try to do it as a double agent, as a straight agent. He's playing a double agent. He's going to act like Jesus himself. But it is true, and thank you, Jake, very much for coming on. That's true.
Thank you.
I would like to point out one other thing with regard to the seal within the fourth commandment, and that is to note, happy Sabbath. That is to note that his title is Creator. It is not Creator-Destroyer. And because we read in Revelation 14 that the Father's name will be written on their foreheads, we know that his name is character, so we need to know our Heavenly Father and his ways and his character so that we do not hinder the working of his hand to transform us into his image.
Thank you, Donna. Yes, his name is Creator. And the three angels message, I have that up here on the screen. And any more comments while we're at this? Because, his name is Creator, not diverse, not causing diversion. not causing division, not being a double agent and a counterfeit. He's our creator. He's true.
And it says very clearly that he is love. And it could be that all those fiery things that it talks about are examples of his passion, his true passion. Just because a person doesn't murder other people doesn't mean that they don't have passionate passions. They love. They care. And this is not lust. This is love. This is the stuff that you would give your life for. And we will be called to love him so much that we would be willing to give our life for him. Not willing to kill somebody else for him, but willing to give our life for him.
Okay, yes, Susan. Thank you, Donna, too. And any more comments about the accuser of the brethren and the one that causes division and diversion and counterfeit? We want to keep the focus on the Father and what is true, but we are in enemy territory here.
Well, we cannot counterfeit what the heavens tell us.
Yes, that's right.
Just like the ships for, I don't know how many thousands of years, and probably still are, some of them, they're navigated by the stars. And nobody can counterfeit that. That the heavens tell us a lot, and that's found in Psalm chapter 19, especially verses 1 through 4. Verse 1 says, the heavens declare. If they're declaring something, they're telling you something. They declare the glory of Elohim. And the firmament shows his handiwork. Jerry Guyman was telling me how that with a certain kind, and there's gunshots in the distance, made me forget this, skip my mind, but anyway, they can actually see the firmament. And according to Genesis chapter 1, he spent a lot of time on the firmament. And it's not ultrasound. It's something new, technology they have. They can actually see that firmament. And verse 2, day unto day utters speech. So day after day, we're seeing something that's telling us something. And night unto night reveals knowledge. So that's telling us, like declaring in verse 1, it utters speech, it reveals knowledge. And verse 3 says there's no speech. In other words, it's not talking out loud. There are no words, neither is their voice heard. Their line has gone out through all the earth, in verse 4. Their line has gone out through all the earth, and the words to the end of the world. So no, the devil can't counterfeit what God puts in the heavens.
Right. That's right.
People might misunderstand something, but the moon tells us what day it is. The sun, when that first sliver of light comes across the earth, the sun tells us when the day is starting. Just like at the crucifixion, she came to the sepulcher, the Sabbath had just ended, the verse says. And why did it end? Because it said she arrived there at the first day of the week at the rising of the sun. So first, that verse says the Sabbath had just ended, the dark had just ended, the first sliver of light had come at the first day of the week. Well, this is talking about their speech, their words, their voice. And everybody on earth can see these signs. And like after new moon, the moon comes up at night. But after full moon, like we're having a full moon today, the moon will come up in the morning. So God tells us when the first Sabbath is coming on preparation day evening. saying tomorrow's Sabbath. And when somebody shared that with me, it was daylight, and I could see that half moon. They told me it was going to be standing straight up and down that evening. And I called that person. I said, it's not, I've been looking at the moon for a while, and it's standing straight up and down. And the person said, well, is it sundown where you are? I said, no, not yet. It's still daylight. Said, well, go out and check after sundown. So I did, and there it was, standing straight up and down. Well, I remember a person telling me the day before that they had seen that evening straight up and down. But what I've got to find out now is what time of the day are they seeing that? Are they seeing that after sundown? Because even after sundown, it's only up there for a while, straight up and down, then it starts moving to a different angle. And then to be dead sure that it's a full moon, like a few days ago, my son called me out on the back deck and he said, look, Mother, it's a full moon. And I said, no, we haven't had the signs, because there's only one time in the month that this sign happens, and it happens twice. The evening before, like yesterday, was preparation day evening. If you can see the sky as close to the time, not the same minute always, might be a few minutes later. When the sun's going down, the moon is coming up. And then the next morning to tell you, yes, it's right, you saw the right signs. As the moon's going down, the sun's coming up, and they call that opposition. Okay. And that really happens. And one more thing, and to be sure that we'll see after full moon, the moon comes up in the morning. Well, it's already told you the first two Sabbaths the evening before. Well, the third Sabbath, you're going to see that half moon in the morning at the time, close to the time of the rising of the sun. So there's people all over the world who know these signs. Someone told me they knew of 57 countries and that they emailed people in 22 of those countries that seen these for sure signs. But my challenge is now, because last week we saw the half moon the evening before, and then the next day somebody was keeping it on Monday instead of Sunday. They said they saw it Sunday evening straight up. So I'm going to have to do some searching, find out what are they seeing. So God bless.
Well, okay, thank you, Wanda. And it's good to remind everybody to go out and look. And I've got it up on the screen here. The first quarter you can see in the evening, and the full moon, and then the last quarter we'll see in the morning. So did anybody else have a comment before we have our closing thoughts here?
Yeah, I was wondering, hello?
Mary, go ahead.
Oh. This is Mary. I was just wondering, we have 3 full moons in 1 month.
Well, it looks full, but it's only actually completely full one time. But it looks full like 3 nights sometimes, most months.
I've seen it look full 5 nights in a row.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
like my son said the other day on Saturday, he said, it's a full moon out there. And I said, I know, but it's going to be completely the full moon, last night, announcing the Sabbath today. So,
if it's full on preparation day, that's usually a sign it's moving pretty fast, and that we don't need 30 days. It'll be a 29-day month. That's a lot that some people go by that sign in the heavens, because the end-time prophecy, thank God, is only going to be 30-day months every month, not 31 or 20-some.
Right.
Thank God everybody will know. And one thing that Adventists have in our Spirit Prophecy writings is more and more Adventists are going to find out that by God's time is the true Sabbath. And the ones who don't want to see change, they don't want to feel like they've been wrong for time or years, they're going to get angry. They're going to get very angry at us. But we're just going to be doing God's will no matter what problem, what mountain comes up. It's all about making effort, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to have to make a lot of effort because it's the trail's going to be harder and rougher and harder and almost unbelievable.
Thank you, Wanda. And there's just a couple more paragraphs I want to read in closing. And unless I have a volunteer that wants to read this last page here. And it talks about the name and his authority and his rulership in the three angels' messages. And so we heard about it there in the fourth commandment. But in closing, we want to review someone, I think Catherine had mentioned Revelation 14, and that's where we find his sign and his seal again. Is there someone that can see the screen that would like to read it? If not, I'll go ahead, and it will be observed that at this time Messiah did not specify the precise content of this last message, talking about the three angels' message, to mankind to be presented prior to his second coming. However, in the book of Revelation, this message is expounded upon. It is termed, for obvious reasons, the three angels' messages. We have already referred to the third angel's message concerning Yah's wrath. That was in the previous part of this article. I'll send this article out with the recording link also. The wrath will be on those that receive the mark of the beast. And this is the last of the three angels' messages. The introduction to these messages specifically states that they are the gospel messages to be taken to the whole world. Revelation 14:6. And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation, and kingdom, and tongue, and people. If we examine the first of these three messages, we discover that it contains the seal of the living Elohim. Indeed, the final portion, referring to the all-important subject of worship, is almost an exact quotation of the last portion of the fourth commandment. Here it is, Revelation 14:7, and remember back to the fourth commandment. And here is what it says, saying with a loud voice, fear Elohim and give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come. And worship him that made the heaven and earth and the sea and the fountains of water. And we know in the fourth commandment it said that he was the creator of the heaven, the sea, earth, and fountains of water. So notice that this message contains the three mandatory elements of the seal. Elohim's name, his authority, because he made it, he's the creator, talks about the creator, and the territory of his rulership. Again, heaven and earth and the sea and the fountains of water. So I'm going to just close the recording, and then we'll open it up to everyone that's here for more discussion. But I just want to thank everyone that's listening to the recording, and we invite you to come back next week, too. We'll be here in 1 week from today. Shabbat Shalom.